Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Adam. If you love luxury fashion, then you definitely love my channel, so make sure you like, subscribe, and check out my Instagram below for all of the latest updates. And today, let's get right into it. In today's video, we are going to the Getty Villa in Malibu, California. Now, you know that I did already go to the Getty Center in LA. However, the Getty in Malibu, it's all about Greek mythology. And you know me, I am Greek, so I love, love, love Greek mythology. That's why I love Versace, that's why I love Medusa. And honestly, the Getty Villa in Malibu is one of the most beautiful places I have ever seen. It's honestly like its own little Italian villa. So without any further ado, let's go to the Getty Villa and see the beautiful art they have to offer. We are now in the Getty Villa in Malibu, California, and this is honestly such a beautiful place. Once we do get to the very, very top of the stairs, we can see the most gorgeous view of Malibu and the Malibu beach. Now, the ocean is just so beautiful here. I absolutely love it. However, we can even start to see the cool architecture that makes it kind of feel like we are in like a little Italy. However, we do have quite a little bit of a little walkway until we get to the actual museum. However, Donnie and I, we do have our cute little like hand monsters, and mine decides to eat his. The first plaque on the wall that we do see is dedicated to the founder of J. Paul Getty. Right away, we can see like a cute little mini Colosseum, which totally gives you like the vibes that we are in Rome. And, it's actually a really, really fun vibe. I really love it. However, the very first thing I had to do was go to the gift shop. And right away, the gift shop is so cute. We can see a lot of really cool jewelry pieces. And the price points were not too bad. Everything was about like $20 to $60. Like the jewelry itself would be 20. However, like these birds right here, they actually were a little bit pricey because they are about like $60. One thing that I definitely did want though was one of these statues of like these like headless torsos, because this is so cool and such a cool collectible to have, especially for sentimental value while being here. However, they were really, really pricey. All of these were about like $150, and because it was like $150, I could have technically got it if I did live here permanently, but because I was actually having to pack this back, I was like, I have no way to ship this home without it actually breaking. So I didn't get any of the statues. However, funny enough, I am moving back, so maybe I will get it. Now, every time Donnie and I do visit a museum, we always do get matching crystal rocks as well, and these are just so cute. Personally, I actually really, really do love this one because at the other Getty Villa, which if you didn't see that vlog, definitely check it out. It's a great vlog. But we did also get crystal rocks from there as well. So, it's a cute moment. Now we have me hanging out by the pond, which is actually really, really pretty and very, very relaxing as well. Now that we're actually stepping into the actual building, we can see the entrance, and I love the fact that it does start with like the pharaohs and the Egyptians. Immediately, the courtyard was one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen because, again, you totally just feel like you are in Italy, and it's just amazingly gorgeous. Passing through the courtyard, we're now going up the stairs. There are quite a bit of stairs in this building. However, once we do get to the very top, we can start to see the actual art. Now, this first piece of art that we're looking at is just so detailed and exquisite to me because, I mean, again, just imagine having to actually carve this yourself. However, I thought it was very, like, kind of creepy and very, very mummy-like to have the adults at the very top right here because, again, doesn't it remind you of like a mummy? Up the stairs, we can start to see the gorgeous statues, and the statues are really, really cool, but I do have questions later on about why they are all missing hands. However, it was kind of funny because there was this one group of people who kept trying to actually touch them, and the security guards kept yelling at them. Now, I must say that all these statues are so beautiful. However, I really do have a question on why they're always missing their arms and their legs. Now, there is a conspiracy theory about it, about people used to having 6 fingers, so that's why all of the Greek statues are missing their hands, because then it would show 6 fingers and 6 toes. However, there's also a conspiracy theory that a lot of the noses are replaced and chiseled off because the noses will give away like specific ancestry, and then a bunch of things would start to unravel. However, comment down below, how do you feel about that theory? We do have our very first portrait as well, and now this one is very, very beautiful, but I wonder where all the missing pieces is. Was this done on purpose, or are there missing pieces to this portrait? However, scrolling down here, we can see these beautiful tablets of the peacocks, and I wonder how ancient these peacock tablets are. More photos on the wall. However, I will say a lot of these photos do seem to incorporate a lot of animals. Like the actual title of this portrait is Fresco with a Meal Preparation. So there's that. Right here we do have a relief with Theater Mask. Now the Theater Mask was actually one of the symbols of the god Bacchus, if I'm not mistaken his name, who was honored in rural settings for bringing fertility and abundance. We have another really cool carved stone of the statue of Dionysus carried into procession. It actually depicts a ritual bringing the statue of the wine goddess Dionysus to a sanctuary or a festival. Right here we do have some cute little figurines, including the statue of Alar, a roundel with a bust of Victory, and even a cute little statue of Hercules. You know me, I love, love, love Hercules. More cool artifacts, including the lamp in the form of a comic mask, a miniature skeleton, and an incense burner in the form of a comic actor on an altar. We do have this beautiful giant face, and this is absolutely so beautiful, especially with the craft of it all, and it does depict 6 women dancing around it. We do have the cutest little sleeping Cupid ever, and you know me, I love love, so honestly, how cute is this little Cupid? More really cool tablets on the wall. Again, I really do wonder why they are actually separated. Were they always like that, or was it not? We do have cups with cranes that were actually used in the Nile River, which that is actually like so crazy to think that these were actually used in the Nile River in Egypt in 323 BC. Like, isn't that just like insane? One amazing thing that we did get to see here is an actual mummy. And this is just so cool because I've always loved tombs and just pyramids in Egypt. And actually seeing this is just like absolutely so surreal. Now, all of the details on it are just absolutely incredible. Like, just how did they actually like get that? Did they paint it on back then? I'm very, very curious on like how they actually did carve these back then. But just like everything, the art of it is just so beautiful and perfect, and so cool. Here we do have an actual face sculpt of an actual mummy. Now, this one was actually plastered over the actual face, and this is the result. So this is just like so cool. We do have another portrait of another mummy as well, and I honestly think we can all agree that she's just so pretty and honestly so beautiful. We do actually have a sarcophagus here, and the detail on the sarcophagus is absolutely amazing. I mean, again, just look at the artwork. And I wish they really did have the names of the people who actually did do the art on it, because that would be fabulous to know. Now we have the head of an emperor, which I believed he did rule Justinian, and this was back in 527 AD. So again, just like the history of it all is just absolutely insane. We do have another head of a Roman apostle from the year 400 AD. We do have many plates that were used in ancient Egypt. And honestly, these are just so beautiful, like the way they do it, because look at the top one right there. It kind of reminds me of the moon cycle, even. And you know, the Egyptians did love the moon cycle. However, the bronze plate at the right of the screen is so cool because I wonder how they actually carved it into the actual plates, the silver. And then, of course, we do have more of the history below, right underneath, right here. For the ancient Egyptian jewelry, though, this is so amazingly cool because again, I love the eye, and you can obviously tell that there is an eye in the middle of this necklace, and it's just so perfect. Imagine wearing it back then with the real gold. It would just be so priceless. But we do have more right here as well. Now, I really, really wonder what princess wore this, because I can definitely sense that like a princess totally wore this. In the same room, they did have this very, very lovely chair with Donnie just soaking up the sun and giving a pose for a lifetime. The view from the second floor, though, is one of the most gorgeous views you can definitely see. And it's just so perfect. Look how amazing the grass is cut. All of the hedges are just absolutely perfect. Everything is just so vibrant, green, and blue. It really, really is like a cute little moment. Even with the photo of me, it's just so cute because one, it's all Prada. However, I totally look like I'm in Italy. So it's just such a cute fact. Prada and Versace, it's just, such a moment. But honestly, this was definitely one of like the most happiest days of my life because I just love the architecture of it all. We do have more beautiful stonework as well. And that one is just so cute. Imagine just having that lounging in your library, especially. Oh, I would love that in my library. However, it's technically called Monument of a Girl from 120 to 140 AD. It even says, "Here lies the most beautiful girl with a pity at such a young age." We do have this gorgeous statue of a woman seated with defined attributes. And one thing that I absolutely do love about her is she has her cute little pet dog next to her. And how cute is that? Even back then, people love their animals. Now, this right here, I know it's not supposed to be zombies, but this 1000% reminds me of zombies because doesn't he look like he's missing his mouth? He just totally looks very, very zombie-esque, and I can just totally 1000% see it. So in my head, I'm pretending that this is an ancient mummy. We do have an ancient Roman cinerary chest from 30 to 40 AD. If you are somebody that would be cremated, this is where the ashes would go. And honestly, compared to like current day urns, doesn't this one just have so much more like life and texture to it? Now, this eagle, hands down, was the coolest thing here because it's just so detailed and was just so random to actually find. But all of the craftsmanship is so perfect because each little feather is so detailed, and even the claws, the details are all there. Now, this is from 100 to 200 AD. It is bronze, and back then, the Romans would actually associate eagles with the supreme god Jupiter and the Roman state itself. Moving on, we have a lot of really cool items as well. However, the green one in the bottom left corner, it reminds me of a dragon. I don't think it's supposed to be a dragon, but it does remind me of one. So I do really like it. I think it's cute. And then that orange plate is very, very Hermes. However, down here we can actually see is what we're actually looking at is illuminating Roman homes and many lamps in the form of a temple, a comic actor, and then the one that I like that I thought was a dragon actually turns out to be a panther head handle. So that's cute. We have a very cool stone portrait that depicts Roman's second emperor who ruled in 14 to 37 AD. However, you will notice that Tiberius, who is the emperor, he is gripping the hand of a genius, but the genius has his head off the statue. So where is the head of the genius? We do have a bust right here. However, this 1000% reminds me of the horror movie The Boy. So if you know the movie The Boy, tell me that this is not a cute little statue of him. However, when we do go this way, this one just kind of scared me because this actually reminds me of like if Hugh Hefner was a zombie in like The Walking Dead. This is giving me those vibes. I loved the woman because of her hair. That hair was absolutely everything. Very like Bride of Frankenstein and also very royal. However, all of these remind me of like the Disney movie The Haunted Mansion when you have all of the cute little heads and then they all start talking to you in the middle of the night. And just how cute is that? However, one that does stand out to me is this one right here. However, I do have a bit of a funny comparison because this one actually reminds me of the guy that plays the bad guy from Legally Blonde. And, just how funny is that? Does he not look like the bad lawyer? We do have another bust, however, this guy is specifically wearing a military coat. So, very, very interesting. This specific statue was actually my favorite that I did see here. This is definitely one that I would take home. I just think it's so cool. It reminds me of Hercules, even though it's not supposed to be Hercules. But I'm really loving the vibes of this one. Now, this one is absolutely so perfect. At first, I thought it was a cat, but it is a Maltese dog that sits in its own little small shrine. And well, since this is her cute little favorite pet, this is just like the most adorable little thing. We do see some gorgeous elephants, which elephants I love because they do remind me of my grandmother. She always had like a collection of just like everything elephants. So, shout out to you, Grandma. This right here is actually one of my favorite things I did see here. I would also take this home because it looks like a cool little monster creature. Like, it looks like a cat mixed with, like, a lamb, mixed with, like, a lion and, like, a tiger. And it's just so cute. I don't know what it is, but this looks so cool. Like, if you went into, like, the Chronicles of Narnia, like, this is, like, a friend that would tag along for the journey and, like, protect you. But there would be, like, a bad set of them, too. But this one would protect you from the bad set. So, do you totally get the vibe? Because, so cute. Donnie and I actually did see this really cute couple, and the boyfriend hit the button so the double doors opened on their own to a beautiful view. And Donnie was trying so hard to do the same thing so I could get the shot. But he was pressing the doors and they would not open. And then all of a sudden they locked, but it's honestly not that count. This room I really loved because I love the big statues. Like the giant ones are just so cool to actually see. However, first we will start with this little boy. I think this was technically called the boy with the grapes, if I'm not mistaken. But very cute. We do have this giant stone of marble as well. and again, the details are so crazy. Now, when you actually zoom into it, you can see that the cute little like babies that are in the center of it all, they are standing on what looks like to be like a goat slash man. So maybe it's supposed to be like a little demon they're standing on top of. What do you think? More intricate art pieces, we do see this right here. And again, like the details of them. There are so many animals, probably at least about like 12 animals in this specific little section. And the fact that it even turns into more and more people. And I really wonder how they actually did craft this back then. I think it dealt with a lot of fire and iron, if I'm not mistaken, and like little chisel things. But comment down below. This is also one of my favorites, and this is a giant stone of Jupiter. Now, this was back from 100 to 1 BC. And again, this is marble, and it's supposed to be the god Jupiter enthroned in the 1500s on the grounds of an imperial state close to Rome. But again, if you notice, the hands and like the feet and the toes are always like chopped off or carved off on specific parts. So, what do you think? What is up with all of these hands that are missing? More gorgeous statues as well. Now, these kind of remind me of Hercules, like the cute little girls that do sing on the actual faces, just because mainly it's three statues of girls next to each other, so it's totally giving me those same vibes. We do have this very cute angel as well, and I'm not exactly sure if he is an angel. However, to me, he definitely looks like he could be one. However, I know he is supposed to represent a youthful hero or a genius guardian spirit. So, maybe. We do have another sarcophagus with a wine making scene. Now, this one is just so cute because it's a bunch of cupids gathering and crushing grape and decorating the oval sarcophagus with them. And honestly, how cute is that? I love, love, love the lion detail on it as well. Definitely like an A plus for the lion because that's just so cool. Now on this stone, I actually really love this because to me it reminds me of like the Garden of Eden, very spiritual. Like we have the tree of life, and then we have the serpent with the apple on the tree. Now, I don't believe that is exactly what it is trying to depict right here. However, for me, it is just 100% the moment. But he does also have a cute little like Pegasus or a cute little dragon underneath him. And I do think that's just so adorably cute. However, when we do zoom into the meaning of this painting, we can see that it has nothing to do with like the tree of life and anything like that. But I kind of like my story a little better. Now, this chair was actually so cool. Like, I think that's so in fashion still today, like for home decor and whatnot. I would have it in my home. I actually do really want this. If I was like rich enough, I would offer to buy it and I would sit on it. Now we will be getting into some more like Egyptian faces scenes, and these ones are just so cute, especially because of all the details on them. Like all of these are just done so great. We do also have a map of the area that we would be looking at from all the actual artifacts. So that's actually really, really cool. I love the detail of that. Right here, we're actually looking at a headdress that would actually be a crown. And can you just imagine the fact that this is bronze, gold, silver, and organic textile from 1630 to 1510 BC. So, that's just absolutely insane. We do have a lot of daggers and a lot of knives as well, including one that actually has the seal of a lion and a goat, and that one is actually my favorite. Now, out of all the faces we will see in this video, this is definitely my favorite because, again, that is just so chic and in fashion, like for home decor. I would absolutely get that in a second. It's just so cute. Now, that actually does come from 1360 to 1200 BCE. And just the, do you imagine having a dinner party and everyone's like, oh, where is your face from? And you're like, thank you. It's from 1360 BCE. Now, when it comes to swords, I love this sword. I've always wanted a sword. I've had such an obsession with them ever since I was little. And this is so cute. It's actually a warrior princess weapon, but when you zoom into it, look at the detailing of it and just like the rust and the decomposition of it. But it's just so cool at the same time. We do have this cute little rock guy, and to me, it looks like a cute little wolf. It's just like howling. However, it's probably a lion most likely. But we do have this really, really cute picture as well of all of these ancient hunting dogs. And it's just so cute. I like them. To me, they kind of remind me of cats still. So you know me, I love a good animal photo shoot. However, it's just so cute. I love them. We do have another set. However, this one's more interesting because yes, there is the dog in the back. There's one that even ends up having an eagle head, and that is just honestly so cool. I would love to have this. And reading down below, it does say that this actually did come from a royal family from way back in the day. I love this painting as well because I love the two sisters. They're just so cute. Again, all of these pictures I would totally have, and it would just be so adorable. We have another face, and this one is just so gorgeous. To me, it kind of looks like a battlefield. Like arrows are flying towards something, but then again, like the flowers represent like peace as well. So comment down below, what do you interpret this one as? Now, Donnie is helping me down the stairs to make sure that I don't fall because I am one of the world's most clumsiest people, especially on a staircase. One of my favorite things that I did see was this fountain, and it's just so beautiful and detailed. Now, I'm about to play a clip, and you can just listen to the soft water just of the fountain going, and it's just, you know, it's such a moment. So shocked. I have Donna and I relaxing under the tree, getting some shade, and it's actually like one of the most perfect spots over here because it's just so peaceful. Now we will be entering the Greeks in southern Italy and Sicily. Everything here will be from the 8th century BC, starting with this giant stone sculpture of Medusa. And of course, you know me, I love Medusa. Proud to say I have the large Versace collection here on YouTube. Versace. I have such a great relationship with the brand. And you know me, I love Versace. Check out my Versace playlist if you haven't seen it because it is just so great. I do have a couple candelabras which the dancers would use. And this is just so cute. However, look at the shadows in the background. The shadows are a little creepy, are they not? We have another gorgeous portrait which is missing a couple pieces to it. Again, I really do wonder where all of these missing pieces do go. However, it seems like she was an actual athletic trainer. Now, I love this wall jar because Hercules is actually attacking a hydra. And a hydra is a serpent with so many heads, and they usually regenerate. Again, if you've seen the movie Hercules, you're definitely familiar with this character. And I honestly love this. I would totally buy this. You have this very old rustic water bucket as well with two handles. But I'm not gonna lie, the color of it, I kind of like the color of it. More amazing jars and faces. And this one I actually do like because it's a guy with a cat. And you can actually see him like playing with the cat. And it's honestly just so adorable. So, you know, this one, 10 out of 10. More beautiful faces, but this one definitely does remind me of all of the ladies in the movie Hercules. It's actually one of my favorite scenes and one of my favorite songs from them as well. However, this one does involve Zeus, Aphrodite, and Leda. Now, I believe these are the last sets of faces and jars. However, this does have some of the coolest jars that we do see because this one right here, I love this because look, okay, so those little demon things, they stole. So he's hanging them upside down because they stole. And just how cool is that? Because they have like cute little horns. So it's just so like demonic and cool like that. However, we do have a couple drinking cups as well, but they have heads of animals like the goat and then the dog. And actually, how cute is that? Like, I'm not gonna lie, that's not like a bad idea. We do have these ancient tablets as well, which again kind of remind me of like demonic energy in a way. However, I also think it's really, really cool. Like, again, if you know the movie Hercules, the like, little demon people that follow him around, this kind of reminds me of them as well. So, you know, a lot of Disney Hercules references coming from here. This is really cool because we do have a lot of mini sculptures, portraits, and busts of iconic figures. However, the one that really, really does stand out to me is the satire mask. This is from Greek. It's made in Sicily 300 to 100 BC. It's supposed to be a symbol of Dionysus, the god of wine and theater. However, to me, it looks a little bit scary, if you know what I mean. So, I don't know how much this looks like Dionysus, but to me, it kind of looks like someone else. I know I did have a couple favorite statues while being here. However, I finally got to see Hercules, and the Hercules statue is the best statue hands down. Plus, he still has his hands, his legs, his arms, so he's not actually like chipped off like a lot of the other ones. But you can see that he does have a skin of an animal as well. But honestly, this is just so cool. I love, love, love Hercules. Like, what a badass. And then, of course, I had to go ahead, take pictures with him, and then do a couple poses in my Prada, because I'm sure he would definitely appreciate Prada. But I feel like he would just be so muscular. I'm not sure what designer Hercules would wear, but it would definitely be like a very manly one. I could actually kind of see him wearing Rick Owens. What do you think? However, we do have the statue of Leda and the swan, where Jupiter, the king of the gods, disguised himself as a swan in order to seduce Leda, a mortal queen of Sparta. Now we will be heading back outside, but just so you can go ahead and get the grand scheme of how beautiful this is, look at this shot right here. This is just so gorgeous and so elegant and regal, and I just absolutely loved it. And again, feeling like you're in Italy, it's so perfect. However, look at her eyes on the statue, because I truly feel like these statues do come alive at night and definitely do follow you around, because the eyes do follow you everywhere you go. But the fountain itself is so cute. I love it so much. I actually definitely do want a home like this, because to me, it just feels like a nice big home. Like, I feel like this is a garden I should just have in my everyday house. And then especially like this one, like this just looks like the most perfect backyard. You can go swimming in the pool, you can stroll along for the walks, and it's just so gorgeous and pretty. You know me, I definitely love it. Of course, I did take a couple of photos in the garden, which I actually did really like. I was feeling my like Hercules fantasy. We did see one last statue outside as well, and this one was just so gorgeous. And again, just like the area that this was in, it was so private and secluded. It was like the perfect spot. However, we did see this table as well on the way out. And this table, I love it. I would totally keep this as well. And that would be perfect for like a foyer. In a stroll through the garden there, we did see the cat bush. And this is just so cute and adorable. I mean, it's just the fact that it has the word cat in it. You know me, definitely approve. Then over here, we do even have a cute little apple. And there's only one apple. So it's like a good sign. And like the Garden of Eden, there's one apple. And I have the apple. After the Getty, we did go to Malibu Beach because we were just so close to it. And again, it is my favorite beach, where we did find this cute little squirrel friend. And we did give him food. But then we seen a sea lion too. And the sea lion was just so cute, soaking out in the sun with all of his seagull friends. And they were just having like the time of their life. However, Donnie, I told him don't get too close. And Donnie totally got way too close. Because as you can see, the sea lion totally goes to attack Donnie. And I was like, Donnie, no. But Donnie was okay in the end. Sea lion is totally okay. He actually went back and decided to sunbathe some more. So both the sea lion and us are all okay. Or then if you did see my Instagram, you did see a couple really cool videos with some Miley Cyrus songs that I absolutely love. I can't post them here because of copyright reasons, but on Instagram it's totally fine. However, it's just so cute. Look at the beach, the champagne, and then just like the sunset coming in. Absolutely the time of my life. Of course, I did have to do a couple dances, and I just honestly like lived my best life while I was out here. And it was just so perfect, especially because, like the good company that I did have as well. So, let's all have a glass of champagne and toast to our futures. So, obviously, me, I love, love, love the Hercules statues. I would want them so bad. But also, I really, really do want that rock for a chair, because just having that in your house would just be so cute to have. And again, imagine having like dinner parties and be like, oh yes, here you can sit in my like ancient chair from like the AD era. And like it's just such a cool fact to say. So I would love to have a lot of this art actually. However, definitely comment down below. How did you feel about this video? What was your favorite art piece? And have you ever been, or do you want to go to any of the Gettys? So make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Au revoir.